I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 59, Transformers Beast Wars Transmetals. Released in 2000, this game was developed by Locomotive and published by Bay Area Multimedia in the US. I'm sort of familiar with Transformers. I know like Optimus Prime and Megatron, and that's about it. I actually watched that first Transformers movie with Shia LaBeouf back in the day, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't remember. However, I do realize it was a pretty big deal back in the day, so it makes sense there's a game dedicated to it. Let's see what it's all about. The game opens with some lore showing scrolling yellow text on a starry background. Man, wonder where they got that idea. Basically, the Transformers are split into two factions, the Autobots and Decepticons, but now they've evolved to become the Maximals and Predacons. They crashed on an unknown planet and the Beast Wars had begun. The Maximals captured Megatron, the Predacon commander, and they believed the Beast Wars were over. However, Megatron was able to send out a message to the past to go to himself to warn him that he's going to get captured. The Beast Wars rage on. So usually when I boot up a new game, I head to the options menu to see all the settings, including difficulty. The rule I set for myself in this challenge is I can't set the difficulty any lower than how the devs had it set by default. So with this game, when I checked, I was shocked to see the difficulty was set to very hard by default. Like, come on devs, didn't you think of this challenge 20 years in the future? How you gonna do this to me? But rules are rules, so I had to beat this one on very hard. I decided to set it to easy for the first attempt at it, just so I could get used to the game better, you know? So the thing we need to beat is the arcade battle mode. I went with Megatron because why not use the best, right? My first match was against Tarantulas. It shows a screen at the start with both fighters' stats, and man, Megatron's way stronger than everyone else. When the fight started, I had zero clue what I was doing, so I went with the classic fighting game strat of button mashing. Megatron turned into a dinosaur and was just rolling around the area super fast. Then I turned back into a robot and Tarantulas turned into, well, a tarantula. I ended up winning this first round by sheer luck, so I decided to look up the game's manual to learn how to actually play. Basically, there are three modes of fighting. You start in robot mode, which is the most powerful. However, you can only stay in it for a limited time. The meter below your health bar shows how long you can stay in robot mode. If you press A or B, you'll transform into vehicle mode. This is the weakest mode, but you're very mobile when you're in it. Then there's Beast mode, where you're normal speed again, but a bit stronger. Every character's modes all have different attacks. For example, Megatron turns into a dinosaur and can bite or do an earthquake type attack. The C buttons are what you use to attack, and you can jump with Z. Anyway, Tarantulas got absolutely wrecked. The main thing I learned is a good strat is power shots. When in robot form, you can charge up your different attacks to be a more powerful form. If you charge up the strongest attack, it plays a small cutscene and sends a barrage of energy to the other fighter, dealing nearly half their health with Megatron. However, you can't move while you're charging it up. Using these is absolutely key to winning. And on another note, the fighting's in like a 3D environment rather than 2D in something like Street Fighter. So you can attempt to avoid projectiles by moving out of the way of them or by jumping. After looking into the manual a bit, I was completely dominating on easy. So I decided, let's just give it a shot, and I set it to very hard. So just like last time, we faced Tarantulas first. The first thing I noticed was the computer was moving around a lot more on very hard. This made it much harder to get one of those charged shots off on them. I lost the first round, but it wasn't a blowout or anything. This game follows a best of 3 format, like most of their fighting games do. A good strat I found was to knock them down with smaller attacks, then immediately start charging my power shot. Since they were stunned from the knockdown, it made it likely I'd have enough time to get the max shot off. With this in mind, I won the next 2 rounds, beating Tarantulas on my first try. Next fight is against Rat Trap. The best strategy I could come up with for beating the computer is to use this attack that makes you invincible and knocks the opponent down, in exchange for some of your own health. Then when they're down, you immediately charge up the power shot. Most of the time, this allowed me to get massive damage off on them. I lost on my first attempt at Rat Trap, but I felt like I was getting better at the game. The good thing about this game is losing doesn't really have any penalty. You can just immediately retry the fight over and over until you win, kinda like being at the arcade with infinite quarters. On the second attempt, we both ran out of robot energy, so I just spammed my earthquake attack over and over until he slowly died. Easy win. Next up is Pterosaur. I realized something here in that the AI doesn't always stop your power shots. So against a lot of these people, you could just charge up a power shot immediately as the fight started and it would succeed. As far as the game goes, it runs about average for the N64. The frame rate's a bit low, but it doesn't noticeably lag at any parts. And the music, it's alright, although the sound effects for battles, they're pretty cool. Next fight is against Air Razor. I was kind of cruising through the game now. Spamming charged power shots was working beautifully, and I was winning on most of the fights on the very first try. I'm not sure if this was like a cheesy way to beat the computer, like if I broke the AI or something, cause I was kinda crushing it on very hard. After that, it's Waspinator. He made a weird noise every time he got hit by an attack. I mean, there's not much to say here. For every fight, I just spammed power shots, and if I didn't kill them before running out of robot energy, I just spammed the earthquake attack in beast mode. This was a really consistent way to win. I beat Waspinator and then Cheetor easily on the first try. Then it was time for the final battle versus Optimus Primal. Not sure how he's different from Optimus Prime. I guess it's part of the Transformers lore or something. He turns into this big gorilla when he's in beast mode. You already know, he got annihilated, and yeah, that was it. The arcade mode beaten on very hard. I'm kinda surprised how easy it was. It shows a big text scroll with a conclusion to the lore. The battle with Optimus Primal gave Megatron the upper hand against the Maximals. Since he knew he was on prehistoric Earth, he took the ultimate risk to secure the future of the Decepticons. He broke into the Autobot Ark and destroyed Optimus Prime as he rested. In the future, the war between Autobots and Decepticons happened, but the Autobots had no chance without their leader. However, in 2005, an even bigger threat to the universe arrives. Unicron, and it doesn't elaborate further on that. Maybe if you're familiar with Transformers, you know what that is. I decided I should beat the arcade mode with Optimus Primal as well to get the lore ending for the Maximals. To my surprise, I beat the entire mode without losing once, which unlocked a secret boss, Megatron X. It was the same as Megatron, except now it was covered in a metal coat, and he had 2 health bars. Also, his attacks are stronger, and he gets to stay in robot form the entire battle. It's completely unfair. You only get one chance to beat him, or you have to do the entire arcade mode all over again. I got absolutely destroyed, but beating this fight's optional, so I don't have to beat it to beat the whole game. The Maximals ending talks about how they captured Megatron. They secured him to the ship, just like in the intro, but Megatron was prepared. He broke his arm loose and he sent a message to his past self, just like before. Were the Beast Wars really over, or had they just begun? After that, the credits roll. Game complete. There's a few optional things in a bonus menu. You can do a kids mode, which is just normal fighting, except the pitch of all the sounds and the fighters are shifted up, kinda like a high-pitched noise, you know? Then there's a toys mode where you can basically view the 3D models and animations of all the fighters, which is kinda neat. And then finally there's a mini games mode where you can play, but they're not very good. Like, there's this racing one where you just mash every button on the controller. It's pretty bland. They're not that fun. So yeah, there you have it. My journey to beating Transformers Beast Wars Transmetals. I'd never heard of this one before this challenge, probably because it was a Blockbuster exclusive. It's okay. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not that fun as a fighting game either. The power shots are a cool idea in theory, but it leads to a lot of standing still. The music isn't that great, the graphics, they're alright, I don't know. I don't think this one's really worth playing unless you're super into Transformers. I gave it a 4 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 4.5 out of 10 for difficulty. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have a sneak peek at the next game. 332 games on the list. Let's see what we get. 3, 2, 1, go! 79. What's that? We are playing the next Duke Nukem game, which is Duke Nukem 0 Hour. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It helps the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. But yeah, thanks everybody. See you next time.